What's going on? Welcome back. Welcome back. Hopefully you can hear me clearly. Let me just make sure I update this because I got a new ticker that I would like to be using. There you go. Perfect. All right. So we got that right under there. What's going on? Welcome back. This is Ola coming to you. My name is Ola. Man of Prestige, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. All right, so today we have an interesting topic: shootings again. Shootings again. We got to talk about this. We have to keep talking about this. But before we get into that, let me just make sure that audio is good. That way, we're not talking to just ourselves, right? Now, let me just make sure
All right.
audio is good. Awesome. Audio is good. All right. So over the past few days, I've been running on, just struggle streaming everywhere. But we got that fixed right now. There's a couple of things here. Let me just make sure. I want to make sure I put in here for you. All right. Good. All right. Just wanted to make sure that I have everything scrolling on the screen for you, just in case you decide that this is something you want to take advantage of. Absolutely, I strongly recommend some of this stuff for you. Perfect. There you go. Yes, perfect. Boom. All right, good. So what's going on? Welcome back. Today we're talking about this shooting thing. Over the past few events, like shootings, there's been some weird linkage to some kind of ideologies going on the internet. People getting incited directly or indirectly, and I think we should talk about it. Just in case. I could be wrong here, right? I could be wrong, but also just in case, we have to make sure, as kings, as generals, as soldiers that we have to make sure that all base are covered, right? That's how they say it in baseball, right? So I could be wrong. I'm not a sport guy either. All right, so we got to make sure that we're covered. So I want to talk about this. Here's the let me just go ahead and share with you the thumbnail that we have today, because and I want to explain this to you, because when I do this thumbnail, I try to put some thoughts to it. It's not the best, but I try to put some thoughts into it, just to make sure that we're on the same page and we're not just getting derailed here. As you can see, we slow down on the growth here, but not really. This is a long-term journey for us. We're gonna figure this out. In the meanwhile, if you want to be a part of helping us propagate and move the message forward, please, by all means, hit the like button, share this with your friends, especially with men, people that you know that are men, especially the one that hate hearing the truth, right? We have to keep talking. We can't afford that the society drops on us, okay, on our time. We have to keep having these conversations, okay? As I see some of these lessons, I want to bring them to you. I want to talk about them. I want us to have a conversation. At least I want you to hear what I have to say, and then go back home and process what I have to say, at least, right? Here's the thumbnail right here. And this thumbnail right here, basically, I don't know if you notice, I'm pointing at the guy on the bed. That right there is the married incel, okay? As you can see, the wife is not feeling him for whatever reason. She could be wrong too, right? But bottom line is that he's frustrated, right? The guy in the little oval circle right there is frustrated, okay? And then also you can see caution, right? Because again, it starts usually even way before you get to this point where people are giving themselves attitude. It's already started long before this, right? Usually it starts as an awkward silence, people caught up in their feelings, not speaking to each other, right? And that hand pointing at her head is symbolic for the topic we're talking about today. And you can see that this gentleman right here is angry, right? He's angry. Okay, so this gentleman is basically the same guy in the circle. Okay, I just kind of brought him forward. It could be any color, it could be anybody. Okay, this is man of prestige, so I'm talking to the gentleman, but also I'm talking to the ladies, so you can know what's healthy and what's not healthy, and so you can know that, hey, maybe you're not crazy, maybe you're crazy. Okay, so but it's angry, frustration. We tend to say things like facts over feelings, facts over emotions, but anger is a form of emotions. Okay, if you shut down, if you're angry on this YouTube streets or on the Twitter streets, social media streets, that's a form of emotion. Even if you're right, even if you're right, okay, that's a form of emotion. And the reason why you say facts over feelings is because you know the downside of operating out of your feelings and emotions without any guards, without structure, without really thinking things through, right? It's very, very important that we pay attention to that. Okay, very important. Okay, now again, look at this. So if you want to support the platform, you can see the streaming ticker at the bottom of the screen. I just wanted to show you that. Okay, all right, so let's get into it. We've got a few things that we want to cover. Okay, I want to talk about the shooting. I want to talk about a gentleman that I was able to engage a little bit. I engaged him a little bit today on Clubhouse. I'm not going to mention names, but I'm going to talk about him, right? And why his rhetoric was dangerous. It's a story, okay? Both of them are stories, right? That we have to kind of talk about. Also, let me give you a quick update that next week I will run the show in the mornings. Okay, I'm gonna try to run the show like around 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's New York time, and that Nigerian time will be. Nigeria time will. I think it's +5. Let me see. Let me just check that right now. Time in Nigeria. All right, because I know that some of the audience are in Nigeria. Okay, so right now it's 11 p.m. Okay, all right, good. So it's going to be around +5. So that's about 3 p.m. Nigerian time. So just keep that at the back of your mind. You can always come back here and watch your rebroadcast, okay? But if you want to support the platform as early as possible, so that's why you want to make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're completing our videos if you want to support, right? If you want to truly support, it's very important that you don't drop in, watch 2 seconds, hit the like button and go away. That doesn't help the platform. There's no engagement. But if I'm saying something that's valuable to you, please by all means take the time to watch the video, okay? It will help us on the platform. At the very minimum, you can even run it on the background while you're listening to what I'm saying, right? So you don't have to sit here and listen to every word, okay? So yes, so it's going to be about 3 p.m. Nigerian time, 10 a.m. I'll run that all of next week, okay? So keep that at the back of your mind. And also, the other thing you want to keep at the back of your mind is that there are actually 2-in-1 channels, okay? I'm running both because one is going to serve as the clips channel later on, but for now I run one on the other. Every other day I'll be on this one, so the other one is Men of Prestige Clips, okay? So you can go ahead and subscribe to that one as well. All right, so without any further ado, I think it's high time we get into this crazy ass Obinna Igbokwe story. This shooting right here that happened in Texas, Dallas, Texas, yesterday. And let me go ahead and share my screen. And I just think we should keep talking about this because, gentlemen, I understand that the world we live in is crazy. It's crazy, right? And I understand that there's frustrations out there. I personally will slow down on judging you if I have been judgmental at all. Sometimes I feel like the tough hand is better, because you build muscles by facing challenge. You become a man by facing challenges. If I'm soft spoken and softening everything, it's like it goes over your head, and I don't want that to be the case. Okay, I want you to really get the gist of some of the things I'm saying here, not to take them as gospel truth, but to process them and come up with your own truth that works for all of us in this society. But if we're going to agree on anything, we both agree, you and I agree, that the society we live in is, it's basically, men are built by facing challenges, okay? Not by being a wussy, not by asking women to match up with you in energy. That's not how you become a man. That's precisely what separates you from being a woman, right? It doesn't make a woman a less anything to you. It just means they play a different role in the society we live in, right? And if you lose your position as a man, all bets are off, because you can't win playing something else. You can't. Okay. So let me play this video for you, and let's get into this, because I think this is getting crazy. Let me just make sure that audio is feeding to the right place before I play it. Let's see. So as you can see, I'm taking my time today because I want to make sure that audio is on point, right? Let's see. Perfect. Boom. All right, good. All right, so let's play this.
On your phone overnight for a 3-month-old baby.
Okay, so that has since been discontinued. We can tell you that. One person, though, is now dead after the father opened fire and took off with that child, sparking that Amber Alert. So let's get right to Charlie Edsty. She's live for us this morning. Charlie, what happened?
Good morning, Rita. Well, at this point, we have minimal details on the cancellation of that Amber Alert. Presumably, the baby was located, but we don't know if the baby is doing okay, so we are working to gather more information on that. And we're also trying to figure out if the suspect who they were looking for, the father of this child, if that person is still on the run this morning. So I've been reaching out to the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office trying to get more details on this, but presumably the suspect has not been located. And this is the house where it all started. We're here in Spring near Aldine Westfield and Rayford Road, and at 7:30 last night, MCSO did respond out here to this home for a shooting. 2 women had been shot in the head, one of them sadly dying from her injuries, and investigators say the gunman was 41-year-old Obinna Igbokwe, who they say took off after the shooting happened with his 3-month-old son, which then prompted that Amber Alert overnight. Probably saw that on your phone when you got up this morning. Well, the man allegedly shot his own wife, the mother of the infant, and the wife's grandmother, and the grandmother, she was the one who ended up dying. And we've also learned that this shooting happened in front of the suspect's 14-year-old, who then ran from the house to get help. Well, the wife, she had to be taken by life flight to the hospital in critical condition, and this is why investigators say those shots may have been fired.
Wife informed him that she was going to divorce. Some type of argument ensued over that. At that time, the suspect pulled a firearm and shot both females point blank in the front foyer area of the residence.
And as for where the suspect may have been headed with the baby, they said that he was spotted going north on 45, and some think that he may have been headed to Dallas because he does have family members there. So once again, that Amber Alert from overnight has been canceled. Working to gather more information about where the suspect might be at this point, so stay with us. I'll have another live update coming up in an hour. But for now, we're live from Spring this morning. Charlie Edsty, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
All right, so here's the question that I have for us gentlemen. Is this really what we want? Is this the results we're looking to create? Right? This is not it, right? I would hope that you're saying no, this is not what we wanted. While we're out there yelling out at the top of our lungs, of our voice, fighting for men's rights, don't we want to make sure that we're not creating new problems? Right? We want to make sure we're not creating new problems, right? Would you agree with me on that? That we're not looking to create new problems by fighting for men's rights, which I am all for, right? by asking men to not be subjugated or become a doormat or anything like that, right? Clearly, this is not the kind of results we're looking to create, right? Right? I mean, look at the headline. Is that the kind of headline we want to be seeing? You know, we keep talking about mental health. There's a lot of people fighting for men's right, advocating for men, but they don't value mental health, right? They don't realize that for every time you try to solve a problem, even in the corporate world, naturally you create new problems. Do we want to create new problems that will completely get out of hand? Right? Like while you want to obviously build nuclear family, like you and I, we're on the same page. We want nuclear family. I'm a married man for 15 years. I know the beautiful, right? Idea of having a nuclear family, having a wife you can come home to, who gets it, right? Being on your A game, being in your purpose, and you know, and just being at peace, knowing that you're coming home to your family, right? Knowing that your children are being raised within a structure that they have the best chances of winning in life when they become adults, right? Based off of statistics, data, facts, we know this from studies, right? You and I were on the same page when it comes to that. But sometimes the path we're going to take to get there is not always straight line. Mine wasn't straight line. If I tell you I've been married for 15 years, you think it was straight line? You really think it was straight lined because I'm married to an African lady who's just submissive? You really think that was the case? You don't think that we've gone through our own ups and downs? You don't think that luck was part of the reason? It's part in addition to of course some skill sets that I keep saying there are skill sets, right? You don't think I'm also lucky? Some people have the skill set, you know, it just didn't happen because there's another human being involved. And sometimes that result you're looking for is not going to come out of a straight line. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs. You're going to hit a lot of obstacles. Sometimes that means you lost your first, second marriage. That's just the reality of life. It's never a straight line, even if it looks like that on the surface, right? So back to my question, is this really the result or the kind of problem we want to be creating because we're advocating for men's rights? Don't we want to make sure there's a proper balance where we don't self-destruct in the process of fighting for men's rights? Because it's very easy to run around town and say, yeah, screw these women, these babes, these modern women. It's like, listen, I get you. But there are some young boys, like literally boys, some of them are 50, 40, 50, 60 years old. They don't know how to process that information properly. You may know how to process it. They don't know how to process it. Their threshold is too low. They've gone through some painful experience. And they don't know how to handle it when a woman says, hey, I want divorce. Right? They've been suspecting this was coming. They knew that their relationship wasn't what it's supposed to be. They knew that, you know, something is off. It wasn't exactly a surprise, but yet they act like it's a surprise when it happens, or they really, truthfully did not realize that it was coming. They were that naive. They were that oblivious to what we call life. It's very, very important that we slow down at this point in time. Let me go over this story with you really quickly. Let's really, because you watched that video, but let's really assess what happened. Okay? A 3-month-old is safe. Oh, by the way, they found out the update is that he ended up deleting himself. Okay? Somewhere down the street, he ended up deleting himself. Okay? All right. So that's after he dropped the baby off at the hotel. Okay. So let's look at this together because, again, you and I have to slow down and really assess things. Yes, we want men to also be treated fairly in society, but You're saying that like you're not talking about marriage and romantic relationships that he subscribed to. Right? You say that like it's just people coming out of the streets to torture men, forgetting that this was a romantic relationship. We cap around this conversation like it's just about community. No, it goes back to individual relationship and the skill sets required to be able to maintain not just relationship but life. We will face challenges. It's inevitable, right? The idea of asking that no, there should be no more challenges, that's equivalent to what I'm seeing. You're saying a woman should not be a woman. She should just be an adult. You're basically making those two things mutually exclusive, forgetting that she's a woman, right? She's a woman in the context of a romantic relationship. In other words, both of y'all forgot the part that you were adults, you fell in love. You forgot about that. We're just going to cap and talk about this like, oh no, this is just another human being who just want to hurt my feelings. She came out of nowhere to come into my world to hurt my feelings. That's not how that works. Anyway, a 3-month-old is safe and his father is dead after authorities say the man shot his wife and his wife's grandmother, point blank. The incident triggered an Amber Alert. What happened? According to Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, started at 7:30 p.m. Wednesday when deputies, I'm reading from ABC 13, all fair use, okay, including the video. When deputies were called to a shooting, found 2 women shot dead. Okay. His name is Obinna Dwayne Igbokwe. I'm not the best at pronouncing Igbo names, but I think I'm better than the newscaster. Right? 41-year-old. What happened? Deputies say Igbokwe shot his wife, identified as Tangela Igbokwe, after she told him she wanted a divorce. Now, let me ask you, if your wife comes to you and asks you for divorce, how do you respond to that? Are you prepared ever for that? No one's ever prepared for that, to be honest with you. Most people are not, okay? But let me just tell you, just in case, life happens to the best of us, right? To the best of us, okay? If your wife asks you for divorce, women, including women as well, if your partner asks you for divorce, it's a very simple answer. Okay, I understand. Because again, you're not going to pretend like you didn't know that there's something off with your relationship, right? You're not going to pretend, like, right? Again, the last thing they want from you, because you probably have been arguing already for weeks, right? They expect you to overreact. They're already scared. That's probably why they didn't tell you for the last 3 to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. The best thing to do in that moment is to give them a very pleasant surprise. Okay, I understand. Why? Because it's not the end of the world, bro. It's not. I promise you, it's not the end of the world. I promise you, heaven is not going to fall out of the skies right now because another human being asks you for space. As a matter of fact, if somebody's asking you for space, you probably need the space more than they do. It's very important that I even say that before I move forward here, right? The answer is very simple. Okay, I understand. And you have to be willing to walk away and mean it. It's the best position for negotiations, if there's any negotiations to be had in the first place. Because again, it's already bad. Probably for weeks, probably for years. So why would you want to hold someone that doesn't want to be there hostage? That's not helping you. The only other reason I can think of is just straight anger. You're angry at everything. And that's a form of emotions. No matter what you're hearing in this YouTube street, it's actually the worst type of emotions in this context, because you can't think. It's temporary insanity. Anyway, the man is also accused of, the grandmother. So they had their grandmother. There's a lot of Nigerians that practice this thing where they have living nannies. Sometimes it's the grandmother of one of them, sometimes it's their own mother, right? They move them in from Nigeria and they live with them, take care of them. They help them take care of their babies. This guy lost his cool completely, lost himself. He did this in front of his 14-year-old teenager, right? After the shooting, he took off with the 3-month-old, headed toward Dallas. This happened in the Dallas area, right? But headed toward Dallas, right? And that's when they called the Amber Alert. I guess Amber Alert for like kidnapping and stuff. And then dropped the babies off. At about 1:05 a.m., officers with the Ennis Police Department located Obinna's white Honda and tried to stop him after a short chase. So this started happening at 7:30. That means I don't know what it was trying to do. It was trying to live after something so terrible has happened. He had a baby. Who knows? Yes, it's possible that she might have frustrated him. Guess what? They probably have frustrated each other in that marriage. Again, the best thing you can do is just stop everything. Stop the bleeding. By stopping, don't talk, don't say anything outside of, okay, I understand. Go drink some water. Call your boys. Yeah, go out. Go hang out. It's not going to end. This world is not going to end if you end it for yourself. And I say that with all available empathy in me because, again, this is all part of the mental health stuff that we keep talking about, right? We can't hold him accountable to nothing now. We can't hold her accountable to nothing right now. We don't know what happened. The only thing we know right now is that there are 2 children that have no parents now. They are now orphans. Okay. All right, so let's keep going here. Police said they tried to save the suspect's life and called for medical help, but he died at the Dallas hospital at 5:20 a.m. because he shot himself, right? After a short chase, the Honda stopped in the parking lot where officers said they heard. So he actually shot himself after they were chasing him, all right? According to this news right here. Our hearts are with the family affected by this tragic and horrific crime, and we're working. You heard that? It's a crime, regardless. We're working with victims to ensure they receive support and assistance. The baby, Mansa, was unharmed and has been reunited with his family. All right, so again, this is the guy right here. This is him. It's sad that we have to talk about this, right? It's crazy, right? This is how many in the last few days, right? Again, I don't want to blame this on any group of people in the internet. I'm just saying men in general. While we're trying to advocate for men's rights and all this kind of stuff, I think it's very important that we slow down and make sure we're not creating new problems. When people hear your story of how you came out of your marriage and you couldn't be held accountable, she took all your money, ended up in a child support court, and she took even more money, and then she became a single mother for the street. Some people receive that and they become angry. That's not your responsibility. However, this could be family one day if we're not careful. That you're right. That's not your responsibility. Everyone needs to take care of themselves, right? I get that. So you're just going to say what you want to say on the internet, right? I get it. But this could be family one day. I'm just saying, right? Plus, that wasn't the goal. The goal is to help men, right? Advocate for men's rights. Part of which we want to build nuclear family. We want to keep our homes together, right? How are we going to do that if we have a bunch of these crazy stories? Right? If we put our women in a position of fear where they're scared because they start to hear some kind of rhetoric from your mouth, now they don't know how to say. If your wife is scared to come to you to ask you for divorce, that's not a good thing, bro. That's not a good thing. Do you get it? That's not a good thing, because one day she's going to gain the courage to do it anyway. It's just going to feel just as devastating. Why not learn how to nurture your relationships, even with your ex-wife, so you can have a much more peaceful life? You give yourself the peace you're looking for from women. Give yourself that first. It's a skill set. You can do it. Anyway, Speaking of, so I was on Clubhouse today. I'll leave that right there. I was on Clubhouse today, and this gentleman came in, blah blah blah. All right, I just want to say something. What was the title? The title was a crazy ass triggering title, something about would you marry a woman who has been molested before? So he came on stage. He had his cape on. He wanted to save men, as usual. Whenever I see men claim they want to save other men, 9 times out of 10 is somebody coming out of the manosphere. I'm sorry. I know there's some good elements. I know people don't listen to the positive stuff. I know that they would rather listen to the toxic stuff and regurgitate the toxic stuff. I get that. But nonetheless, it's manosphere. Okay? We can hear the talking points. Okay? And he goes, yeah, I just want to talk to my brothers real quick. Verbatim. Not verbatim. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. I was like, okay, all right. So he started talking. I was like, you know what? I went through the same thing. I just went through the same thing. You know, my wife had some traumatizing experience, molestation as a child. And, I found out, I just wish there was more transparency. Again, another manosphere talking point. They're always asking for this honesty, transparency stuff. They're usually indicating that they used to be lame. And now they projected that expectation on other people, forgetting that sometimes people don't tell the truth because they're not capable. Sometimes they're not capable. It's a traumatizing experience that they wish would go away for life. Like they wish they could wake up and it was all a dream. There are days they are confused. Like, wait, this was a dream, right? Emotions, emotional intelligence. Our brain, the organ in our brain is bigger in capacity more than what your hands can do. You know that, right? All right, good. But anyway, that's not to excuse people that just want to straight out lie to you. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, do you even have room for some grace? Because you married this person, right? Do you have the grace, the room for some grace to say maybe, just maybe, they couldn't tell you whatever your version of the truth or you think what truth is. Maybe they were just living their truth. It was difficult for them. They were living that truth. Right? All right. So anyway, he said, okay, yeah. So I just wish, according to him, quote, I wish she came out and was just a little bit more transparent because now, sometimes when I try to touch her, she's just acting weird and other. And it's true. If a woman has gone through some traumatizing situation, they may act weird when you're trying. It may fuck up your intimacy. That's a fact of life. But when you're presented with this kind of crisis in your life, in your romantic relationship, in your marriage, are you prepared to handle this crisis? Or you were one of those people that really, truthfully counted on vetting to solve all your problems? You just vet. All problems will go away if you vet. When I say this, some people misinterpret me. They think I'm saying don't vet. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. Right? What I'm saying is that vetting is good. There's more to it. If you don't know how to handle conflict, as in like assume there will be conflict. If you're not prepared for possible crisis, as in just like life, crises happen in life, right? Right? Like it's not just because of marriage, just in life, crisis happens, right? And if it's in marriage, you can expect that to come with crisis too, right? If you're not prepared, that's inevitable. It will happen. Did somebody tell you during your vetting that you shouldn't be married if you expect a perfect world? If you have unrealistic expectations? Did somebody try to at least educate you on what that looks like? That they couldn't even teach you because you don't have the context to comprehend what that would look like because you have no experience. However, when you're aware, half the battle is won. Did somebody take the time to tell you that during your vetting, or it was just like, no, let me ask a question. What does she bring to the table? Have you ever been molested as a child? Is that the only thing you're asking? What about asking questions to people that are perfect, but things will happen in life that obviously will throw some curveball? Are you prepared? Do you take the time or no? It's just no. What do you bring to the table? Because I want a woman who is agreeable. Why would you even go past a friendship with anybody who is not agreeable? Right? But let's say, they pretended. Are you prepared that maybe they weren't pretending? Maybe there's a new face. Maybe they're evolving, just like you will evolve too, as a human being in life. Do you know that this YouTube spaces where you're roaming around, they control the way you think? Or we're just going to cap about that. That if you listen to the same rhetoric over and over, it becomes truth, even if it's a lie. We're just going to cap about that. I have to be careful, even though it's very clear. Anybody who's listened to me long enough knows that I don't subscribe to 90% of the bullshit. But I have to be careful because I live with a woman. And sometimes, not sometimes, a woman will always throw you shit test. She always shit test you. Right? So every time she shit tests me, if I combine that together with some of the stupid rhetorics on this YouTube street, I'm triggered. Then I overreact. And I'm like, oh, that's the truth. I knew it. Somebody said that was going to happen, right? Are you prepared for all of this? But anyway, this gentleman came in, in the name of he wanted to advise all these youngers coming from behind him. The only thing I concluded from it was that he was a married incel. What is an incel? Incel is involuntary celibate. Okay? There's a lot of people, at least 15% of marriages are going through that. For whatever reason, it still all goes back to your skill set. Part of that skill set is knowing when to ask for help. Asking for the help of professionals. At least even if you're that broke, talk to your pastor. Talk to the imam. Talk to the clergy, right? It's not that they're going to give you a gospel truth. At least you're able to have somebody that can hear you out, what you're going through, give you some insights, not a gospel truth. And then you can, you're taking your time to process things as opposed to overreacting when things happen, right? Talk to someone. Talk to someone that's willing to listen without throwing all kind of ideologies at you. Oh yeah, that's how these women act. Like if somebody is talking at you like that, they don't have your best interest. They're just looking to build a fan base. That's the fact. Okay? They're just looking to build a fan base. They're looking to collect some of this YouTube money. I'm being honest with you. That's why they sound so polarized. Okay? That's why they're trying to, always create drama. Because this is about money for them. Anyway, he wanted to advise young people. How do you advise people if you haven't gone through the healing that's necessary for you to live as a human being after going through a traumatic experience? It's extremely traumatic to find yourself in a marriage where your wife has just told you that, I had some bad experience as a teenager. And that's why I'm scared every time you touch me. Or now you're angry because she did not tell you the truth in the beginning. Because you're stuck on your ideas of truth, what truth means. You forgot that this is just your own version of the truth. This is a function of how you were raised. Because he made it clear he was a Muslim. And they didn't really know each other. They went through a process. Boom, 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 boom. No dating, no getting to know each other. They got married. Right? They got married. Clearly, she subscribed to the Muslim stuff too. And clearly, that wasn't good enough. Your religion is not good enough. Especially if it continues to discount the psychology of how human beings think. This is very, very sad. Okay? So if he runs around town, run around the clubhouse streets, social media streets, and is advising people, there are young men. There were young men in the chat that were literally saying, that's so true. Shout out to you, man. Blah, blah. I'm like, nah, that's not true. His advices were terrible. Basically, what he was saying is that make sure you. Then they asked him a simple question. I said, would you marry your wife again? He said, now, honestly, I wouldn't do it again. But you're still married to the same person. If you're in a position where you're married to a person that you wouldn't marry all over again, why don't you give yourself some space? Why? Because you want nuclear family? See, that's one of the problems. Men will never leave, even when they're in a toxic, abusive situationship. And where's your self-respect? If you're tolerating something that you deem to be abuse, where's your self-respect, man? It's easier said than done. Nonetheless, if you're in a position where you feel, feelings over facts, where you feel like it's not appropriate, give yourself some space. Take some time off to think about things and talk to somebody, a professional, a pastor, a clergyman, before you move any further. And don't advise anyone until you've gone through the proper healing. I did a whole session on the second channel about that yesterday. Devon Franklin, the ex-husband of Megan Good, should not be advising anyone until he's gone through the proper healing. I would actually prefer he gets married first, all over again. Figure it out. Live in that marriage for a few years before you attempt to advise anyone else ever about any form of long-term relationship, even business. Because clearly, you're traumatized. Even if you were right all the way through, you're traumatized. If you're right, that means you were traumatized because somebody else clearly was wrong based on your ideas. And now you're traumatized because you're projecting on the other person that they were so wrong. Now you're going to go advise people to avoid this robotic type of woman that really doesn't exist. And now they're looking at life through the lens of fear. And guess what? Hurt people hurt people. We need to slow all the way down. We are complex beings. We're very complex. It's not as simple as just running around town and just advising people just because it's common sense. It's common sense. It's just vet. No, that's stupid. It's not common sense. There are skill sets involved. People with experience can share some things with you. People outside of your situation are usually better at giving you better ideas, even if they're not professionals, than yourself, because you're human like the rest of us, and you should never put yourself on that pedestal. Humble yourself. You subscribed to a relationship that feels abusive to you. Humble yourself. Remove yourself for a second, like take a rest, okay? Back off from her. Take some time off. Take a goddamn vacation. Because this world is not going to end. Even if you skip your job for 2 days. If you're like most people, most of these lames that walk in straight lines, they're not going to fire you because they know you're good. You're anal about doing everything properly. They're not going to fire you for skipping 2 days. But your mental health is everything. You got to make sure that's straight first before you move forward with anything else. Because nothing else will work if you don't make sure you're good. Nothing else will work if you don't make sure you're good. You just be angry. And it's actually worse if you're walking around the street angry. Because again, you're transferring that energy to people around you. And when people receive that energy, they become even that much less productive. It just is a vicious cycle, right? But when you just have peace inside of yourself, stop asking women for peace. That's stupid. That's retarded. Excuse me. I'm sorry for using that word, right? Don't do that. Stop asking women for peace. Have peace for yourself first. A woman that will take your peace away will not be able to be around you. They just won't be able to hang around you. They will self-eject because they don't belong there. It just won't be a fit. Instead, find peace yourself. Just like you ask women to go find their own happiness. We're very quick to say that, right? Same thing. The same thing. Don't ask people for anything you can't bring to yourself, especially as a man. Your first assignment is to make sure you're self-sustainable before you try to feed 5 mouths. If you have to take off and go talk to someone and the bills are not paid for a week, it's better than for you to lose your mind. One of the biggest problems I see here is men trying to solve everyone's problem. Why are you trying to advise other men if you're not okay yourself? Why? Why are you pouring from an empty cup? Don't you know that you will become empty? Energy is neither destroyed nor created. Neither created nor destroyed. It just flows. All this energy flowing out of you, and you don't have a place to refill. You're not filling your own cup. You will self-destruct. Because you're not God at the end of the day. I have to do the same thing. I have to take time off. I take time off. I breathe because sometimes it's too much information coming at me. Too much information. Like, ugh, I need to go relax, chill, my me time. We all need that. Stop trying to save the world. And I mean including your wife. Stop trying to, oh yeah, she needs to go to this school. She doesn't listen. Stop all that. At this point, she's an adult. Let her make some decisions, make some mistakes too. Just allow that. That makes your advices even much more valuable. Just by allowing that. But if you're just busy barking all the time, she doesn't listen, and then you smother yourself and her to death emotionally, and then 5 years later, she gains some courage to ask you for divorce, and you don't know how to say, hey, it's okay, I understand. If you say, it's okay, I understand, okay, it increases the chances of rebuilding your family back up significantly, at least by 300%. Okay? And if you argue, if you sit down there and start arguing with her about why she's just on the street, it's because of her friend has been advising her. If you sit down, you increase the chances of her running away completely by 1000%. Don't you get it? The brain works backwards. If she doesn't feel safe, she wants to run. Right? When you're rejected, rejection breeds obsession. Just be aware of that. And then, boom, suddenly, half the battle won. Then you can relax and say, okay, she just asked me for divorce. It's true. This hasn't been what we subscribed to. Let's give each other some space. Potentially, she may never come back. You need to be okay with that. Somebody asked me earlier, what is the guarantee? Because I teach real estate, right? What is the guarantee I'll close a deal in 1 month? Instantly, I have no problem giving that answer right away. Zero guarantees. There's no guarantee you will ever make a dime. There's no guarantees in life, gentlemen. Like, come on, stop it. There's no guarantees. The only guarantee is that you just breathe that last breath. The next breath is not promised. Everything is about your relationships, your ability to be able to nurture and build relationships. Nothing else matters. Money doesn't matter. Money follows relationships. If you destroy your relationship, if you have money, you will destroy the money too. It's 100% true all the time. If you have bad behavior but you're good at nurturing relationships, you will have money. You will attract blessings. Why? Because other people feel good around you. If you tell a lot of lies, right, and in some weird twisted way, you have good relationships, people just like you, you will attract all the blessings in this world. Your righteousness is nasty in the eyes of God. It makes no sense. The people I'm talking to are people that walk straight lines. They tend to walk straight. The bad boys don't have these problems. Okay? They have a different set of problems. They may end up in jail. But I'm talking to you. You're the good guy. Your expectations, your entitlement are stupid. They are through the roof. They are unrealistic. They will end up hurting you. If you have some good behavior, that's good for you. If you have some moral standard that you follow, that's good for you. Stop projecting it on other people. Focus on nurturing relationship. How does that work? Value. Focus on identifying the value. What is it that this person values? Even if you feel like that thing is bad for them, you need to identify, acknowledge that value first before you say, hey, maybe this is not good for you. I have something better for you. But you need to acknowledge that thing that they value first. Let's say somebody is on drugs and you need to understand why they value that first before you try to switch it with something else. And if you're not that patient, you're just angry. You're still not giving them value. As a matter of fact, you're making it worse. Now they can't stand you because you're holy, because you think you know it all. This is very important that you understand this. This is very important. I'm talking to you, the good guy. I'm talking to you. Your idea of good is flawed. It's based on your filter. If you can't humble yourself, it's no good. It's good to be good. It's only good for you. especially if you're too prideful and you can't see the good in other people even when they're not perfect. You see how all of this is connected? Again, you have this projection, everything must be perfect. If it's not perfect, we're just going to be angry with the world. Like, no, that's not how that works. That's not how this works. We have to be careful. We have to be careful. Anyway, before we end this session, there are a couple of things here that I wanted to cover. Let's look at this one right here. This story has been over the past few days. Obviously, Johnny won. All of the men in the world thought they won some kind of war, right? Against abuse accusation. Actually, no. The case was about defamation, libel. Okay, that's what the case was about. Okay. As a matter of fact, I think based off of the award, they awarded her $2 million for the same thing because the lawyer was actually, was guilty. Johnny and his lawyer was guilty. Okay, so they awarded her $2 million. They awarded him $17 million that was capped out at $10 million. Okay, and so he won $10 million. Everybody's that don't know the full story, they're running around town rejoicing over the case that never existed. It wasn't about abuse. They were both abused in an abusive relationship, obviously, right? It was more so about if it was a lie, if what she did with the news, with the article in the Washington Post, if it was free speech or it was libel. Okay, and she lost that part of the case. So guess what the butt of the joke was? Whichever one of you were rejoicing over this because you thought it was just another gender war. Yeah, because I saw the hashtag men too. But hey, like I said in the live stream from yesterday, you could go watch it on the other channel. The society is sick. We need to do something about, but hey, one day at a time, right? So this one says, as Amber, shout out to Lovely T, as Amber Heard plans appeal, her lawyer says she can't pay Johnny Depp $10.4 million. Of course she can't. Of course she can't. So it's just account receivable. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Monique.
You didn't have to say what you said.
Monique has been in the news. Monique is another one that really talks a lot, but there's very little wisdom coming from that camp. 50 Cent had to help this woman out of her own graves, help her career out of the graves. Okay. It's weird. It's getting weirder and weirder every day, right? I've always respected 50 Cent. I can see through his gimmicks and stuff, I'm not saying he doesn't mean them, but he's very calculated with every single one of them. Let me play this video and then I will talk for a second about this and
Curtis Jackson.
Come on.
You didn't have to say what you said,
Come on.
but you did. Appreciate you. One black man to another.
I want to talk right to our baby. From one black woman to that beautiful, pure-hearted black man. And let me be clear. I'm saying Curtis 50 Cent Jackson is of pure heart. So when y'all get to talking about, 50, you next, that's a man, that's a king. He's of pure heart, baby, and he's principled. See, we have conversations offline and people got to saying, she ain't thanked 50, she ain't said nothing to 50. We don't have to have our relationship online.
But you are now.
And that brother ain't said nothing. When people tried to turn that thing into something ugly that it was not. So again, for you, brother, Curtis,
We love you.
we love you, baby. And there are those out there that we don't know your name.
All right, so 50 Cent said something today. He said, I don't know the full story. All I know is that her and another comedian, D.L. Hughley, have been going back and forth. If you know the story, you can share it in the comment, please. I don't know the full story. I just know they were throwing some jabs back and forth over some contract disputes and stuff like that. But again, she's been having this contract dispute for a few years, a lot of years back now. She had it with Oprah. She had it with Tyler Perry. She had it with Steve Harvey. You know, basically her business is always turned messy. Her all by herself sounds like a her problem, and him, this husband next to her, right? But anyway, 50 Cent said, I love you guys too. Let's progress at a pace they haven't seen before. He's watching his words. You know, 50 Cent don't even do this for anyone, but I guess they softened his heart with all the dramatic baby Curtis, baby 50 Cent Jackson. I guess he got his heart softened a little bit, but they're working together. Exactly. Speaking of pure heart, why are you doing this video right now? Is it because he's paying you? What's going on, Osmosis? I wasn't looking at the screen. Sorry about that, my brother. Right? We got to do something together, by the way. I've seen that you've been quiet for a while, so let's talk on IG, all right? I watched that video for 30 minutes, then had to repent from wasting my time. Yeah, whose video? You talking about this people right here? Yeah, I guess you're talking about them, right? Yeah. So, all the dramatic baby, she does it all the time, but it's BS. Like, speaking of pure heart, we know 50 Cent has a quote unquote pure heart. We gotta put that in quotes because 50 Cent is not exactly. We know he's a calculated businessman. So let's stop the cap. Okay. All right. Anyway, now. Speaking of pure heart, why exactly are you doing this video? Because you want everyone to see you thanking publicly? After in the same breath, you're saying, hey, we don't have to live our life on social media. Again, these people, man, we got to do better. We have to do better. But anyway, they have to do better because this isn't her. This is a her problem. She's had the same issues with everyone. Once you start looking at the same person having the same issue with everyone across board, you got to look at yourself in the mirror. Right? You're the same one that get kicked out of every club. You get kicked out of every stage. You enter beef with every single body that ever done any kind of business with you. That's you. And yes, you could be right, but that's still a you problem. I keep telling you about this right and wrong issue. That's still a you problem. Right? Because you live in a society where you don't get to determine what's right and wrong. The only thing you get to control is your relationships. That's it. Unless you choose to focus on a need to be right. Okay? But sometimes there's a battle between a need to be right and nurturing your relationships. Right? For one of them, right? For those of you that understand how to move smartly in the streets of this world, right? Sometimes you have to take a short-term L just to win overall. It's a game, it's marathon. So some of you are focused on the sprint. I gotta win this. I gotta win this. I gotta win this. Sometimes you gotta take a short-term L in order to win in life. Yeah. So yeah, that's that about Monique. I don't know the full story, but let me see. I think I'm just gonna we're gonna call it a day right there. We're gonna call it a day right there. Again, thank you, Osmosis, for stopping by. Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. I will come here to either here or the other channel. You can go to the homepage of the channel to see a link to the other channel. It's called Man of Prestige Clips. I'll come every other day until we build this out. Over here right now we have like 365 subscribers. On the other one we have about 440 something subscribers. I want to build them out to 1,000 each first, then we start looking at other forms of content. For now, let's keep having fun. Please help me share, like, subscribe, all of that. I appreciate you. I'll see you on the next one, and